Hey everyone, Cory Muscara here with Mindfulness.com. In this week's newsletter, we're going to talk about why some of the greatest progress you can make toward experiencing more joy is by first experiencing more of your pain. So that can sound a bit provocative, or at the very least, I think a part of us can arise that goes, I don't like where this is going. And that's often because we're defending against feeling different aspects and layers of our pain. There's some pain that we're more open to feeling, and then there's other pain that we've perhaps suppressed for a long period of time. And often unconsciously, we spend a lot of internal energy making sure we don't have to experience that thing. And this is where the relationship between our pain and our joy arises. There tends to be this belief that I can just be positive and not focus on the negative. And by doing that, I can experience more happiness and a little less of the difficult stuff. And there's some truth to that. I don't want to completely throw that away. There is a possibility where we can numb ourselves to some of the discomfort and then really try to focus on the positive and feel a little bit more positive and a little bit more positive emotion. But generally, it's more short-lived. It tends to feel a bit more contrived. And there's also this low-level, low-grade tension that is accompanying any sense of positivity or joy. And it tends to also coincide with this fear of being still, almost like we need to constantly be thinking positive, constantly be busy, constantly be consumed with whatever the thing that we're doing of the moment is. Because if we stop long enough, we might have to feel the thing beneath the surface that we don't want to feel. And maybe you've lived some of your life like this. Maybe you know people who live their lives like this. And it tends to be this very buzzing kind of energy, and it's a pseudo positivity. Pseudo in the sense that you're playing out the script of positivity and having positive emotion, but it's not an organic extension of what we could call your life force. And in meditation, one of the powerful new kinds of joy and happiness we get to experience is one that arises organically when the mind is not in this nonstop tug of war with life, pushing against the things we don't want, pulling close to the things we do want. When we actually soften that internal struggle and grasping and resisting, what emerges is a quality of ease, contentment, and joy, a mind that's very bright and light, and it feels wonderful, and it can exist in stillness, and it can exist in movement and activity. It doesn't require having to fend off any aspect of your experience, because the very thing that took you to that experience was making space for all that was within your awareness. And so coming to this central thesis, if you will, that making space for more of our pain leads to greater joy. If we are experiencing some discomfort, the tendency can be to just shut down to it. And what that does tend to do is just shut down the entire stream of feeling. So we no longer feel the bad stuff, but we also don't feel the good stuff as much. When we lift that dam, we tend to be flooded with more of the uncomfortable experience that we were trying not to feel. And it's important to recognize that that can be a part of the experience at first. And we don't need to open up the floodgates and feel all the pain we've ever harbored toward our parents, like all in one moment. There's wisdom to going into that slowly, to remembering that the mechanism of suppressing the experience was coming from a place of your mind and body's intelligence, saying this might be too much to feel. So we honor that we have that as a coping strategy. And if it's really intense, we recognize that maybe we need some support through a therapist. Often, though, once we move into that territory and we feel that initial jolt of, oh man, this has been beneath the surface and this is really hard to feel, really intense. It's causing me to have to confront a lot of things and feel a lot of things. The initial experience of that is often most intense. And then similar to having a really good cry, the other side of it, we feel much lighter, much more at ease, much more grounded, much more still. And even this experience of happiness and joy can arise because we're no longer exhausting ourselves internally by preventing ourselves from feeling something. And that, just imagine pushing against a wall, just pushing as hard as you can against a wall all day long, and then trying to look over there and see what's going on. You can get preoccupied with life and forget that you're pushing, but the body's still pushing and you're still exhausting yourself. So although we don't always realize how much we're pushing, that's happening when we're not allowing ourselves to feel something. And it just creates all these different layers of tension and actually getting in the way of a more organic form of happiness and joy and well-being. So I get that it can be tough, and this is not an encouragement to go, okay, I'm going to sit down and just take on all the pain. You'll probably black out, right? We don't want to hold all of our pain in a single moment, but we go in easily, softly, and just making the intention that, okay, maybe I can be a little more open to aspects of my experience that I would typically push away, and see how it feels. And if you can be with it, just take a breath. Relax into it. Sense for yourself. Am I starting to dissociate from this experience? Am I going numb? Is it too activating? If that happens, you open your eyes, you go for a walk, reground, and then come back. That's called pendulation, stepping in, stepping out. The main thing is just to consider how the experience of pushing away pain can really impact our joy. And instead of just trying to think more positive, there might need to be some space made for these aspects of your experience. So thanks for being on this big human journey that can be complex and frustrating at times. But we're right here with you at mindfulness.com. If you'd like more support, join us in the app. Lots of free content there, including short videos like this. As always, thank you for your practice. Talk to you soon, and take care.